Welcome to Section 4 of the Maze Runner. This video is going to go over the thought process steps to completing the 4 literary analysis prompts for this section. So, in chapters 34 through 36, Teresa mentions the statement, "Everything is going to change." Earlier, we predicted what we thought this statement might mean. Now, we're going to dig in a little bit more deeply and see what we need to do to correctly answer this prompt. The first item we need to do is look up the definition of what foreshadowing is. After we have our definition, we need to think of that statement, "Everything is going to change." Look back at your previous predictions that you have made. Now, look at chapter 36. There are 3 items that have changed within the maze and the glade. We need to find those 3 items. Find 3 lines from the book. Each of these items has a specific point in the book where we're going to pull text. This is going to be our textual evidence. So, the 3 lines, one about each particular change, are going to help us with the body of our paragraph. In number 5, we need to begin our topic sentence that has the word foreshadow and the words "everything is going to change" mentioned, so the reader is aware of what this particular paragraph will be about. Finally, in item 6, you must answer the prompt using your textual evidence and then explain each piece of evidence. Tell the reader why this quote matters. Now, as we move on to chapters 37 through 39, we talk about descriptive language through the use of a simile and descriptive words. So, the 6 items for this particular prompt are as follows. The first item is to underline all key points in the prompt. Sometimes prompts will ask you to respond to more than one item. In this case, we need to know what a simile is and the descriptive words that help us on page 254. Now, we also want to know what suspense means and how authors build suspense within their books. This could come about in various ways, and for the purposes of this particular prompt, it has to do with the descriptive language describing the event which occurs on page 254. Now, we need to look in chapter 38 to find the simile and look for the descriptive words that shows suspense. When you're beginning this paragraph, your topic sentence should use the words descriptive language, simile, and suspense. Your final task is to answer the prompt in which you are describing the simile and also mentioning the descriptive words that build suspense. As we move on to chapters 40 to 42, we have a question about text-based analysis. In chapters 39 and 40, Galley states his opinion about the maze and whether or not it can or cannot be solved. In chapter 40, Teresa and Thomas are discussing Galley's earlier statements, and Teresa also has her own words about when she was unconscious prior to waking up in the glade. Now, at this point in the novel, Thomas has a bright idea. Your job is to explain how Thomas examines these different variables, statements that Galley and Teresa have made, as well as his own observations from running around within the maze with the character Minho. So, what you need to do with this particular prompt. First, you should find the quote from Galley in chapter 39. Is he speaking about variables? Are there any more hints found within those pages of Galley's quote from chapter 39? From that point, you need to find where Teresa was speaking about the maze as a code. Is there any more information from the author contained within these sections? From that point, research the text, look through, skim and scan, and find where Thomas has a bright idea. From this point then, you should find 3 pieces of text to use for the response. You could use these 3 items listed in letters A, B, and C. You could use the quote that Galley had said regarding the maze and the variables. you could use Teresa's thoughts, or you could use Thomas's thoughts and words. When you answer the prompt with your topic sentence, be sure to include the words variables and crack the code. We know these words from these particular chapters. The final prompt comes from chapters 43 to 45, and it involves the theme of friendship. This theme has been talked about as we have navigated through our novel, and in this particular set of chapters, Thomas and Teresa have a very important bond. You're going to use chapter 44 to describe Teresa and Thomas's friendship. Now, you have some very specific directions and instructions with bolded words. What we need to do when we respond to this particular prompt are following these 7 different steps. So first, we need to know what the word theme means. We can look that up using our resources. Now, think about the relationship between Thomas and Teresa. How would you, as the author, describe their relationship? From that point, you should pick evidence to show how Thomas feels about Teresa. So, focusing on Thomas and Teresa and how Thomas feels about this particular character. In item 4, you should pick evidence that is either directly stated in the text or evidence that could be inferred. And again, when we're making an inference, it's like an educated guess. Now, this evidence that is stated or inferred shows how Teresa feels about Thomas. When you're conducting your topic sentence in item 5, you should use your descriptive word for Thomas and Teresa's friendship, the word relationship, and of course mention the characters of Thomas and Teresa. Item 6, make sure that you answer the prompt. Explain how the characters of Thomas and Teresa feel about each other with your textual evidence and your explanations or your commentary. In item 7, you should have a concluding sentence. This sentence needs to tell how the evidence supports their type of relationship. So you have a little bit of thinking to do about this particular prompt. However, keep in mind, this prompt will become a body paragraph of your critical essay within the Maze Runner.